I'm a living, breathing person, human being. For example, McDonald's. McDonald's can't force me to eat their Big Macs. They need my consent. I would like to state for the record that I am not a corporation. I don't choose the contract with the state of Michigan. I don't choose to do business with them in this regard with another business. It seems like a coercion of some sort.
All right, folks, today we've got one of the most baffling cases I've ever come across. We're in the Court of Appeals with a sophomore citizen who's trying, brace yourself, to get out of paying child support. And trust me, his argument is something you really have to hear to believe. Now, I can't tell if he's trying to pull off a stroke of genius or if he just completely skipped the class on common sense, but either way, this one is wildly entertaining. Drop a comment below. On a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate this guy's IQ? Do you think he's genuinely trying to make a legal point, or is this just a desperate attempt to dodge child support? Let's break it down and see what he's actually saying. Here we go.
Mind putting your name on the record, please?
I'm the executor and sole beneficiary of the trust and estate of Mr. Kevin Dwayne Craft, the legal persona. I am not here making a general appearance. I'm here by special divine appearance, judge, to settle a matter, to call for a constitutional court of record to ask for a summary judgment upon the truth and facts that I placed upon the record with my documents. I stand firmly on my rights, and I'm here to ask for the summary judgment, please.
You've asked for.
I do also have a few questions.
I understand you're pro se, and then therefore you get a little bit of leeway, but typically the judges don't answer questions. We're the ones who ask questions. This isn't like a trial court where it's a very kind of back and forth. The Court of Appeals is more structured in terms of the lawyers or parties come up, they make their arguments. The judges may or may not have questions for the person, and then it's submitted, and then we go back and discuss the matter, and then at some point in the future, we come out with an opinion. So it is different in that respect than trial court.
Understood. But I am wondering if this is a court of constitution, and would the Constitution be applied in these proceedings?
The Court of Appeals, the Michigan Court of Appeals, is provided for under the state Constitution of 1963.
Is that a yes?
That's the answer I'm giving you.
Okay. I'm asking to verify to make sure these proceedings are legitimate. The Constitution has two jurisdictions: common law, admiralty law, or maritime tribunal. And I'm asking in which context would this court try to enforce jurisdiction on me?
We're acting under the state Constitution of Michigan of 1963.
Moving forward, I'm here to pretty much address the court's error for ignoring my motions. Notice of dismissal, default judgment under Federal Rule 55 was filed December 12, 2022. Under Federal Rule 55, if a party fails to respond to the defendants themselves, and this is confirmed by my affidavits and other means, the clerk must officially record a default judgment of that party. I filed several motions and they were ignored. That's why I'm here. In Haynes versus Kennar, 404 U.S. 519, 1972, courts must be understanding and not easily reject motions from people who just represent themselves. And that's what took place in this matter. In Article 1, Section 17 of the Michigan Constitution prevents courts from ignoring motions and guarantees that people have a fair chance to represent themselves in any argument and evidence. That did not happen. That's why we're here. The state ordered me to take a paternity test. And Monell versus Department of Social Services, which is a New York State case. The Supreme Court case established that municipalities' liability under the Section 1983 for constitutional violations in the context of child support cases, where the appellant argues that a warrant should be required for me obtaining genetic and biological material. I think it's very sensitive when a state injects an order asking me.
This guy is reaching so hard, it's honestly painful to watch. At this point, it's pretty clear he's just trying to get out of paying child support. Like, come on, just step up and take responsibility. And get this so-called sovereign citizen actually had the nerve to say it's unfair that the state wants him to provide biological data to confirm the child is his. Seriously? That's not some government conspiracy, that's called basic biology. How else are we supposed to make sure you're not just trying to dodge your responsibilities? Facts are facts, my dude. If you're not involved, fine. But if you are, don't pretend it's not your problem. Honestly, I don't even think this guy is a real sovereign citizen. It feels way more like he's just using the label as a cover to try and skip out on supporting his kid. And that's seriously messed up. In today's world, kids need their parents more than ever. So the fact that this guy brought a sovereign citizen script into court just to avoid taking care of his child? That's diabolical in my book. Let me know what you think so far. Let's jump back into it.
That's really sensitive material. It's not like a document or anything. That's personal biological material. That's why those specimens were not granted. That's why I deny any consent of any contract with the state or Title 4D agency to give away my biological and genetic material. That the case Monell is relevant because it underscores the importance to ensure that government agencies like the friend of the court on this context, these are for-profit agencies disguised as government agencies like the friend of the court, adhere to constitutional standards where collecting evidence potentially implying the need of procedure safeguards to protect individuals' Fourth Amendment. That's why I asked, was this a constitutional court? The asking for genetic material is protected by my Fourth Amendment right. The Fourth Amendment protects individuals from unreasonable searches and seizures and safeguards one's privacy and assurance that any such search is conducted within the boundaries of legal requirements. I see that they're not here today, and that's some questions that are raised, and those were my concerns. On August 11, 2022, the Kent County ordered an appointment for me for genetic and biological testing. In a testing laboratory, DNA Diagnostic Center is a business, and I can prove it's a business because I have their Dun and Bradstreet numbers, 877-184226 for the record. They also said, when I thought this was funny, the state of Michigan stated that it would pay the cost of the genetic test. And if I wasn't excluded, that I would be responsible for that cost. And with that being said, that set alarms. The state of Michigan is also a business. And with them fronting the cost for me, that presented an alarm for me because I don't choose the contract with the state of Michigan. I don't choose to do business with them in this regard with another business. It seems like a coercion of some sort for them to upfront the cost if I was going to be responsible. I do not consent to that business arrangement. The state, they failed to show a promissory note of a contract of any sort. I submitted documents, notice to the court to demand dismissal for lack of jurisdiction, demanded to see an open court evidence of personal and subject matter jurisdiction, and notice of court to refusing to appear voluntary. And I do not accept the offer to contract, and I do not consent to these proceedings. That affidavit or notice to motion was submitted on November 28th, 2022. So again, I'm just bringing up the point that I submitted numerous of documents asking for clear evidence or asking for due process, also asking for quite frankly, to be transparent with what's happening. And I believe I deserve the right to see in writing what gives them the authority and what contract am I.
All right, so get this. This sovereign citizen actually says he wants to see the contract that gives the state the authority to test his biological data. Like, what? First of all, there's no secret contract, my guy. The state doesn't need your permission slip to enforce child support laws. In most states, if there's a question of paternity, the court can legally order a DNA test. That's not some conspiracy, it's a standard part of family law. The whole point is to make sure the right person is held financially responsible for the child. It's not about random contracts, it's about legal procedure backed by actual statutes. I don't know where he thinks this argument is going, but the law is crystal clear on this one. Honestly, I think the Court of Appeals is going to have a very easy time shutting this down. So what do you think? Is it obvious this guy's just trying to dodge child support? Drop your thoughts below, and let's wrap this one up.
In Burns 322 BR 719, a creditor must provide proper documentation such as a promissory note, contract to substantiate a debt or court claim. They did not. More documents I found. Affidavit inserting corporate nature of government entities. I submitted that document because I'm concerned that these are for-profit businesses disguised as government agencies. You know, I have proof. Kent County Court, Dun and Bradstreet number for the record, 152906082. Kent County Friend of the Court, Dun and Bradstreet number, 6088333133. State of Michigan, Dun and Bradstreet number, 504698428. These are businesses. I would like to state for the record that I am not a corporation. I'm a living, breathing person.
I honestly don't understand why these sovereign citizens think that just by declaring they are a living, breathing human being, the law is suddenly going to vanish. Like, okay buddy, we're all living, breathing human beings. That doesn't mean you get a free pass to ignore legal responsibilities. They act like that phrase is some kind of magic spell that makes everything they owe or are responsible for just disappear. It's almost as if they believe the court's going to say, oh, our bad, we didn't realize you were human. Never mind the child support, carry on. These arguments are so out there, it's borderline delusional. And honestly, I'm just sitting here wondering, where do they even get these ideas? If anyone out there actually knows where this stuff comes from, drop it in the comments. I'm genuinely curious. All right, let's dive back in.
These being businesses, they have to abide by the same rules as other businesses. And may I give an example? For example, McDonald's. McDonald's can't force me to eat their Big Macs. They need my consent. None of these businesses that I've mentioned have my consent to do business with them. Section 458 of the Social Security Act, incentive payments to state. It's a conflict of interest. And it's my argument right here, right now, that the state incentivizes them for, it incentivizes them to collect more child support. The main argument I have here and for you guys is full disclosure. You know, it seems like they enter me in a contract without my consent, without full disclosure, and that's the problem here. You know, I'm here to argue subject matter and lack of jurisdiction. No evidence was established in my involvement of a common law crime or damages, and I did not commit any common law crime. Notice of court to refusing to appear voluntary, and I do not accept these contracts, and I do not consent to these proceedings was another motion or notice to motion that I submitted 11/28/22. And it's basically it's evidence is they didn't provide any evidence of an injury or injured party. And
Mr. Kraft, you're out
yes.
of time. We understand that you raise issues of disclosure,
yes,
jurisdiction, remedy, and as I indicated, your brief, as with all the appellants and appellees we have here today, the briefs that you submit are kind of the key issue that, or the key tool that we use to resolve cases. And so I just want you to know, we have your brief. We're going to go back. We've had research attorneys look at it. We're going to look at it again. We're going to discuss your case. And then you'll get an opinion from us sometime within the next few weeks.
After that
If
last
I may, one last
sentence,
thing.
I almost want to give him a pass.
You can do it in
Almost.
20
I
seconds.
can. The
Like,
government
does
must
this
prove
dude really
charges
think that
beyond a
by saying
reasonable doubt
don't
with
hold
clear
prejudice
evidence,
against me, the
especially
judge
when
is
making
just
a
going
claim
to be like,
against someone.
oh,
And I'm asking
my
you
bad,
guys right
let's
here,
toss
right now,
out
they
all the
did not
laws?
provide any evidence.
It's like
against
he
me.
truly
And I would
believes
ask
words
you
alone
to,
can magically
dismiss
override
this.
legal responsibilities. Honestly, it's laughable. And I can't help but wonder, who told this guy any of this would work? Now, to be fair, his argument that the state doesn't have the authority to test his biological data isn't the worst I've ever heard, but it's still nowhere near convincing. It's like he's hoping he'll find some magical legal loophole, but in reality, this whole thing probably would have gone a lot better if he had just, I don't know, gotten a lawyer. Imagine if he actually had someone in his corner who knew what they were doing. Maybe then he wouldn't be up there rambling about how the law doesn't apply to him. A decent attorney could have at least helped him build a more coherent case. Instead, he's just digging himself deeper with every word. Honestly, it's painful to watch. There's got to be a better way to handle these kinds of situations than trying to argue your way out of the legal system entirely. It's never going to work. So what do you guys think? Does this guy have any shot at winning, or is he just wasting everyone's time? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. Appreciate all of you for watching. Take care, everyone.